Welcome to Tech Ties and Human Vibes, where we explore the tech that powers modern businesses and drives innovation. I'm Adam, and with me is Nancy. We'll be talking to entrepreneurs, innovators, and industry experts about the tools they use, the challenges they face, and how technology is shaping the future of work. Let's dive in. Thanks for joining us on our call today. I am Adam Nelson with Tech Ties and Human Vibes, and I am here with my co-host, Nancy Henriquez. Nancy, we are glad to have our guest, George Ballane with T3 Tech Partners. George, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, what you do, and a little bit about your company you're with?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me. So I'm a MSP owner of many years. And recently we decided, my partner and I on T3 Tech Partners, Kristen, that we saw a need in the MSP industry for level 3, tier 3 technicians for MSPs, and that many MSPs in the under 1.5 million in revenue were struggling to get work done. They were struggling with the technical resources, they were struggling with the bandwidth, and they couldn't afford a full-time level 3 employee, that really high-end expensive employee. And that's where we come in, and that's where we do a great job on a fractional basis. I don't like to use the word outsourced because it's not, that has a weird connotation. We are fractional. We're a fractional tier 3, truly an extension of any MSP's team.
A lot of the times when an MSP owner is starting their MSP, either they are that tier 3 person, or their partner is, right? But regardless, there's always that one person that is doing that job in particular. And if it's the owner, a lot of times they have to ask themselves the question of, do I work on it or do I work on my business? So it's like, do I work on keeping a customer or do I work on getting a new customer? That's always the question that is, I think, the struggle that happens in that moment.
Yep.
So,
and it's probably the best spot to decrease your profitability, right? By doing the problem or solving the problem or going down that rabbit hole. And the best way to not grow your business by taking on those tasks, because really you can push it off for less cost and less money. We call that our shifting left concept. And you can go and grow and get a customer and work on the business and increase profitability and so forth. So yeah, there's a point where somebody gets stuck, and that's where they need us.
So in your experience, is that what led you to start this?
So we saw the need for this with other MSPs, but about a year and a half ago, my MSP that I own, we had this problem. I needed the hands, but I only needed them on a fractional basis. I only needed them for a few hours a week. And I found somebody, and she ended up being my partner in this venture. But we figured it out, right? We figured out the way to make sure that the needs were covered, the business was operationally efficient, the business was operationally mature, and I wasn't getting drawn down into those problems that would take me 3, 4, or 5 hours or a whole day so I could focus on the business. And a couple numbers, because everybody loves data. Over the last 18 months in my MSP, we grew sales 10%, but our profitability went up 26%.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't in lockstep, but it was because of that operational maturity, shifting out of the owner's hands, some things to lower level tasks through all of these strategies, including using a tier 3, right? And getting the tier 3 things out of my hand into a tier 3's hand, documenting and passing it down. And why not make more money?
So documentation is key.
That's an understatement. I mean, documentation really, I have my level 1 person in my MSP doing tier 3 tasks because it's well documented. And I came up with the whole concept of you got to have the majority of your tasks and as many of your tasks with your lowest cost employee.
So you have that set up. Do you help other companies set that up as well with your T3s?
Absolutely. So, part of what we do at T3 is provide those resources, but when we take on a problem, we turn around, understand the problem, solve the problem, and document the problem and hand that documentation back to the MSP.
So
So
you don't
they
sit on it
then
because, you're the owner of it and you want to gatekeep it.
no, we give it to them because they should.
Nice.
We help them as well grow their business and become more profitable because we don't want to be doing every little task for somebody. If that's the way they want to do it, we're happy to do it and draw down time and make money on it. But at the same time, we really want to give that knowledge back to them and say, hey, look, your T2, your T1 can actually do this next time. Here's how to. Come to us when you have that real problem, and we're a partner in growing that business.
I love that, especially because and you keep mentioning the word shifting left, right? But I'd like to say it's like firing yourself as one of the owners, right? Like you have to be able to get to the point where you're replacing yourself because at the end of the day, that's the only person that can move your business forward is you, the owner. And so if you're being bogged down by documentation, by T3 problems, by T1 problems, T2 problems, whatever that may be, that's like you have to shift in that direction, be able to apply it in a way that someone else can follow the instructions. Someone else can do it for you in the way that you want it done.
Agreed. And you may have to make the document the first time, right?
Mm,
But
yeah.
you will
Mhm.
never do that task again. And it can't just be in your delivery and in your tech delivery. It also should be as part of your operations. It should be part of your finance and your billing, and every aspect of the company should be documented so that you take a body and you tell them follow the instructions. Something comes in, you don't know how to deal with it, look in our docs, search it. There's a document there on how to do that. That's something I'm working on. I focused on in my MSP the delivery first, and right now we're really focusing on the operations piece. But I want to be able to go on vacation. Isn't that what everybody wants to do without
Yeah.
the phone ringing?
Have you ever seen that meme? You ever seen that meme where that it's like what, MSP on vacation or something like that? It's a guy sitting on a beach and the water's coming up and he's sitting there with his
On his
keyboard and
laptop.
mouse.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the
Um,
and right. Everybody says, "Well, how could I do that? I don't have enough customers." Yeah, and I get that. That is the thing, right? You got to have
Yeah,
customers, you got to have employees,
exactly.
but you could shift some of these tasks through automations. Like you have to really step back and look at the business and determine, is it a repeatable process, yes or no? And if it is, find a way to make it repeatable either automatically or with a person.
I love that. I want to shift gears a little bit, and I hope that you're okay with this shift.
Go for it.
No
All
pun
right,
intended.
so a little less on the technical side, a little bit more on the human side.
Mhm.
Um, so, especially as a business owner who you've started it on your own, right? You're working your way through building your business. A lot of the times, it is so hard for people to delegate, right? That's like very first thing that you have to learn in order to be able to document and then pass it along so someone else can take care of it, whether it's a direct employee or whether it's a fractional company that's coming in and helping you. But you gotta let go, right?
Yep.
What is Did you have to go through that process personally, and what did you learn about yourself as a leader going through that process?
Yeah, totally. So about 2 years ago, um, I was running the business, and I like to say off of post-it notes, because I really was. All the knowledge was either here or right here on the desk, and I had to say, I'm getting too big, that I
Or,
can't
like,
do
for
this
those not
anymore.
watching, he pointed at his head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pointed at my head, right? um, so I had to, go and start to say, I can trust other people. And us as the business owners, and I'm assuming many of you are business owners listening and watching, we want to do it perfect. So if we're the 100% score, we have to realize that our customers will be ultra satisfied with 60% or 70% perfection, right? Because they don't know what 100% perfection really is. So you can set the bar for 100, but if your employees and your delivery team and your staff are doing 60% perfection and 70% perfection, guess what? That's a 5-star review. So I don't want to say it's good enough, but it truly is. So don't ever expect an employee, if you have that employee that does 100% perfection, like you would, hold on to them. They might be a unicorn, but the fact is, you can only strive for so to be so close to yourself. So I started to accept that and understand that, and I monitored it for a while. Like, I had to see it happen where I was like, I would have handled that different, but you know what, the end result was that it was solved and the customer was happy. So I
Mm,
started to, like, just absorb that and monitor it, and really come to accept that. um I'm a perfectionist by nature. I think we're all a little bit type A in this field. So, you know, it's you can help feel better and feel more comfortable about it by training your staff, doing weekly one-on-ones and ticket reviews and things like that. But yes, I did have to come around to that. And it's so cliche, Nancy, but the fact is, when you let go, you start to grow your business. You start to see the improvements, and you can start to focus on the stuff that really helps the business. So
yeah.
now I sit back and I'm like, let's see, how do we pivot, how do we analyze, how do I get my true sales strategy down, because sales is hard.
So I
And
think
focus on that.
I think both of you said something something that just dawned on me. Like, in order to make that next step, it's delegation, but it's delegation out of necessity, not out of being lazy. Like, there's a fine line there, and it's
Agreed.
completely different, right? It's not someone just sitting back saying, I really don't want to do anything today, so I'm just going to delegate this stuff over. It's delegation out of necessity. It is, I am so busy. I want to grow, but I can't grow without sharing this load.
Mhm.
Operational maturity is the term that I use,
I
right?
like that. I like the term.
Does the business operate in a mature way that is not reliant on any one person?
I love that. And sometimes, and I think I definitely fall victim to this as well, where we as business owners feel like it is about me, and it's about what I want, and it's about what the growth that I want to drive in the business and all of these things. But in actuality, it's not about us, the business owner. And so that's part of that ego, I feel, that makes you hold on
Mm.
instead of letting go. Because in my experience, at least, part of that is letting go of that ego and realizing that you built a business to serve others. You didn't build a business for yourself. You know what I mean? So in order to do that, in order to be able to impact others, to help others, you have to let go. And that's part of that growth that comes along with it, right?
Yeah, and I think if you always do right by your customers, the rest falls into place. There's two sides of it, in my opinion, right? Doing right by your customers, right? I hate when I walk into a 3-person customer and they've got a server with VMware and 5 VMs, right? Because that tells me you, former MSP, took advantage of that customer,
Yep.
right? That was not
Mhm.
necessary.
Yep.
So they operated with, first in mind, putting money in their pocket. not
Yeah.
what's best for the customer. Obviously, they lost that customer, right? Because they got caught. So if you operate with that in mind, you you do right by the customer. The rest falls into place. Now, what is the end goal of a business owner? Make a deposit into the bank, right?
Mhm.
So it all depends on where you start from. If you're starting with making a deposit, your intentions are wrong. Your delivery is wrong. But really, our like my as an MSP, my whole goal was do right by the customer and do everything to decrease calls because that cost me money.
Yep.
So I can have gross revenue per customer, but lower overhead and delivery. And my profit is even better than selling that big expensive server.
Yep.
So, what are your like delivery and what is your end goal, right? And they have to be in the right spots.
Yes, they have to align. Yeah, 100%. And then, going back to doing right by the customer, what is it that they need in order for you to be able to provide that? That what is that doing right by them? How do you define that, right? And then making sure that your business is functioning in all of those areas in the way that you need it to provide that end result. Going
Agreed.
back to the
Agreed.
operational maturity.
Agreed. And not to change topics, but there are a lot of MSPs out there. I think we really need to focus on being business solutions providers, BSPs, not necessarily MSPs, right? Where we're solving a business problem for the customer. We can apply tech all day long, but a lot of people do that. If we can understand our customers and really help them solve a business problem, it's going to make us as MSPs very different.
Which is exactly what you did. I mean, that's how you started T3.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, you
exactly
figure
right.
there's another
Yeah.
problem to solve.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. MSPs had the business problem where they couldn't deliver.
Yeah.
They had the problem where they were turning work away. They had these problems where they just can't handle something. They couldn't be operationally mature. That's a business problem. So what are we going to do? We're going to do some tech work to solve the business problem.
I love that.
That's full
Especially because
circle.
I always like to say
Adam,
that's the
you took that softball right from me. I liked it.
Hey, it's full circle, man. You completed the loop.
Set and spike.
that's what we do here.
That's funny. That was good.
No, that's awesome. And that the fact that, you've done this twice now. So you've done that for your end customer, for the end user at your MSP, and you're doing that again for MSPs that are needing that help to get to the other side, right? Um, what is your goal for T3 at the end of the day?
You know, somebody asked me this um, side by side with my partner Kristen, who everybody will hear from at some point very soon, I'm sure. But we had two very different answers. I'm more of the business operations and sales, and she is the technical lead and the best technical person I have ever met in my life. And that is why we are partners.
Well, hey, listen, Nancy's on the phone. I'm just saying.
I mean, Nancy, we haven't done tech work together. So I guess there's always room for competition. But I will say her response was, we want to provide the best technical service and the best technical resources, blah, blah, blah. And my response was, we were actually at a conference when this came up. I want to be the company that MSPs go to help them ultimately grow their business.
Very
Love that.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nationwide, worldwide. We're going to say nationwide for now, but maybe worldwide.
Hey, you never know.
Worldwide, yeah. Worldwide in a few years. I mean, why not? Cover the nation first and then jump seas.
I mean, pat myself on the back, pat ourselves on the back. The demand has been there. There's definitely, we're delivering really great, and it's working. So we're super excited.
That's
So
awesome.
with that question, then, I mean, you started out as an MSP, right? Right out of high school, if I remember correctly, in
Out
Northern
of college,
California.
college.
Right out of college.
Yep.
High
Yeah,
school
that was
with me.
Nancy. Sorry, that's Nancy right out of high school. You right out of college,
Nancy got a head start.
and then now you're doing this T3, helping other MSPs out because you saw that there was a need there. Where do you see yourself in another 5 years, man?
I mean, on the record or off the record. I guess we're only on the record here because we're recording. But I think everybody has an end play, right? And really, I'd love to be able to exit at some point with a nice big check. I think that would be lovely, right? That would be great. On either business. However, I think there's so much runway here that we can do so much for the MSP space. And I've never been one to go, oh, I want to change the channel. I want to change the world. I want to change the industry. That's just not me. But we are seeing a lot of consolidation by way of large software companies. We're seeing a lot of PEs, private equity, start to enter the space. So I think there's going to be a major shift over the next 5 to 10 years in the channel and in the industry. I mean, there's literally PE firms that are popping up now that are just like, we just do MSPs. And so it's changing. I mean, there's M&A guys that all they focus on are MSPs. The problem is so many MSPs can't grow to that point where they're even looked at. So I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation. I think we're going to see a lot of, I think the numbers are there's 45,000, 47,000 MSPs in the United States that they know of. Some people think it might be higher.
Oh, it is. It is higher for
I'm
sure.
sure it's higher, but I think if the number's 45, I think we're going to see 35, in 1 to 2 years. I think you're going to see less MSPs. It's getting harder to survive as an MSP. So you got to jump in and do it. But I think we T3 will be able to help more MSPs survive, really. So and get to that next level. So I'm not looking to change the world. I'm just looking to help some people out.
So I was on stage a few years back when they asked about the future of MSPs, and I one of the things that I had mentioned was that I see MSPs coming together in collections, collections of MSPs coming together to compete with the bigger guys, to compete with those national platforms, to compete with those that are being bought up by PE in order to grow and things like that. So I feel like you are a part of that in doing that, in bringing MSPs together by providing services that others need that you can fulfill, right? So that is, I think, a beautiful example of our community coming together in a way that helps each other, that has nothing to do with the vendors or anyone else of the world. So again, it's like those collections of MSPs coming together. I feel like that's fantastic.
I mean, there's a clear correlation to what we do and an MSP's profit margin.
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
amazing. Which is amazing. And we've tested it already and done it. So who doesn't want to make more money?
With that being said, let's say I'm an MSP and I really need that help with a T3. How do I get a hold? Do I get a hold of you? If so, how?
Sure.
What do I do? What's my next step?
Absolutely. Well, you guys can visit our website, t3techpartners.com. And you could certainly email me, George at t3techpartners.com. Happy to talk to anybody that is looking for any assistance. And frankly, I had a conversation with an MSP a couple weeks ago. He's like, I don't know if my pricing's right. And I said, well, let's look at it. And we had that conversation. He wasn't ready to work with us, but whatever help we can offer, we're there to do it, and as you guys are as well. But I think it's
And that's what makes you more
great time.
valuable than the next guy, is because you're more than just one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just looking to sell you services. Let's help
Right.
MSPs this is a difficult business. Let's do it together and
That's
make it
awesome.
happen.
I love
Yeah,
it.
that's how you and I met. So I love
Exactly
that.
how we met.
I love that. I love that you're continuing that to promote that within the community of MSPs, literally helping each other out, because that's the only way that we will grow, or they will grow. I still consider myself an MSP. I'm sorry. Always
It's
will.
like one of those things, like once you are, you always
Yeah,
are,
you are. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not leaving the club anytime soon. But yeah, I love that. I love it's beyond just services. It's more so about community educating and rising all tides together. So kudos.
I think we
Absolutely.
should. I think we should definitely talk again in 6 months, because I get a feeling you're going to be in a different spot than you are right now.
I would love to do that, and I'm so excited about where that could be. So
Yeah.
I think we should have a follow up and have the splash screen, on the first episode, like on Netflix when
I definitely think that should happen.
the last episode.
There you go. There you go. See, and then for all the MSP business owners out there that are having to face that decision of, do I fix this T3 problem myself, or do I work on sales and marketing? Just call George. Just call George, and
Yeah,
then you can
let George
focus
take
on your
care of it.
business.
Yeah, and never say no. Too many people are saying no to projects.
Yeah.
Take it,
That's true.
send it to us, mark it up 20%, and give it back, and you do nothing, and you just make money. So there's a lot of ways to do this and help a business grow.
Love it.
Anyway, well, George, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it. I'm sure Nancy appreciates it, and the listeners appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll put your contact information in the description below.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great conversation. Looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, guys.